What is dangerous to those in power? Put simply, it is an individual who does not consider one human being different from another, based on group, religion, political affiliation, culture, ethnicity, so-called race, or nationality, or even continent. Somebody who does not see the difference, does not accept that there is a difference between human beings, that we should treat different human beings to varying degrees of compassion purely based on their group, and not necessarily on their individual actions, but just their group. Somebody who doesn't differentiate between human beings, as long as those human beings, are peaceful towards other human beings, no matter what group they're a part of. That person is very dangerous to those in power. And the reason for this is that those in power benefit from everyone else beneath them vying for their little pieces of control, vying for their own individual rights over those around them, other groups, other so-called groups around them. And when we vie against each other, when we try to gain power from one another, those of us who are underneath, the select few who are at the top, kind of like kings and queens, but now we call them CEOs or politicians. They benefit greatly from all of us fighting, beneath them in a way. And what they fear most is that we will unite and we will try to gain a level of, you could say, power equality, in which power is not necessarily forcefully distributed among everyone, but at least everyone is given a far fairer chance to have a say than the so-called democracy that we exist in now in the United States, for instance. In the United States, it feels like we have a choice. Okay, Democrat, Republican, they're played to seem different, but a lot of the time, the same corporations, the same defense contractors, the same foreign governments actually prop up the politicians that we have in the United States, whether they be Democrat or Republican. Now, when it comes to maybe the Socialist Party, the Libertarian Party, those are ones that foreign agents or corporations aren't as interested in propping up, aren't as interested in investing in. So you're more likely to get a fair shake. I believe I'm a very liberal person. I believe in healthcare and college for all. So I'm more towards the socialist side, but I don't consider myself a full blown socialist. More of a democratic socialist that agrees upon a certain level of capitalism. But even if you're libertarian, corporations don't really want to back a true libertarian or a true socialist or even a democratic socialist or even a centrist libertarian. They want to back those who they know they can get a return investment on. Those who have been playing the system since the beginning, starting with the Federalists and Anti-Federalists, back in our country's founding. And as these different parties have evolved, they have changed names. Democrat and Republican are the ones that we have now, but they've changed names several times, the Whigs. And Democrat once meant that, a lot of racist and segregationist white people in the South, 60s and before, voted Democrat because they wanted to help their people and only their people, but not black people. But then it kind of switched to where the Dixiecrats went over to the Republican side because they were willing to accept them, and then the Democratic Party changed to more of a more liberal stint for everyone, not just a select few, white people, for instance. Now, what we see in the media, what we see in propaganda, what we see in commercials, what we see even in our workplaces when corporations try to indoctrinate us in a sense, we see that there is this constant driving force that they're trying to press upon us to compete, to vie for positions, to basically gain a position or gain a raise above somebody else by hard work, by trying to basically gain something above your fellow employees. Not all corporations do this, but many do, especially Amazon. Amazon is notorious for pitting their employees against one another. What we see is that we, instead focusing on the system being fair for everyone, we try to get our slice of the pie, and only our slice of the pie, because we think only a few people can get it. But in reality, if there was better regulation, if there was better oversight for corporations, that was laws that could be voted on by the people, for instance, about how these regulations would take place, so at least the government would be by the people and not just and not just some politicians that, we get a couple choices and then maybe it'll be in our interest, maybe they won't. They aren't really held to those. Maybe we could actually vote on laws. Maybe we can actually decide that, okay, all of us together can gain far more than just a few of us gaining everything. Well, almost everything. People in power fear the unification of those beneath them, beneath them in society. But in truth, every human life is just as valuable as another. A starving child in Africa is just as valuable as I am, but the societies that we exist in and their relation and the economy that we exist in, capitalism, spreading around the world, even in so-called communist countries, puts people above other people based on where they're born, how much money they can put into the economic system by buying things, and basically how their political influence as far as their vote is concerned will affect corporations' ability to control their resources and those who either gather their resources or distribute them. Now, if we live in the United States, somebody's going to try to market to us far more than somebody who's than a starving child in Africa, because our vote is what composes the political parties that exist now. We vote on them, and so we are appealed to far more. We are able to buy more things because of, the scraps that we get economically, and thus we are appealed to far more when it comes to advertisement. But there's always a level of propaganda in there. We're saying, if you want to be an entrepreneur, just work hard. Basically defeat those around you, and those around you who don't work as hard as you won't get as much as you. But we see this divide increasing. We see the divide between the rich and either lower middle class or below greatly increasing as far as the distribution of wealth. And have no illusions that there is a distribution of wealth based on monopolies and corporations, corporatism, and the so-called free market. But it is far from free. The distribution of wealth is always to the top of the pyramid. Employers that are, at the top of this pyramid in corporations, they take far more benefits as far as monetary value goes from those working below them than they give a fair shake to all their employees. They take far more of the employees' labor, and increasingly so as regulations are dismantled through lobbyists influencing politicians, than could exist in a more democratic and free society, even a free market society. A truly free market society shouldn't have these monopolies and CEOs who can take as much as they want from their employees' labors. And, we are the ones working at the bottom. We are the ones that are doing the vast majority of the work, and then those at the top are taking all the benefits. Even in individual stores, managers are trying to reap the benefits and not allow their employees to get as many hours, so that they can meet a certain hour quota, pushing them harder to work. And if that hour quota remains, low, at par or even lower, then the managers get bonuses. A lot of the time, not all the time. And this is a carnivorous system of capitalism that we exist in the United States and in a lot of countries around the world. But I'll return back to my original point before closing. What those in power fear most is an individual who does not distinguish one human being from another, does not choose to fight based on politics, based on religion, based on ethnicity, based on culture, or so-called race, or anything like that, but chooses to only fight against, even if it's not like physically, but even if it's as far as ideals and what you push for, against those who actually harm other people, and not those that simply are in a different group, so we fight them. That's what people in power fear. So, how can you influence the system to not just your, but all of our benefit that we compose the bottom of the pyramid? All those in the bottom of the pyramid, how can we fight that those at the top of the pyramid don't have that solid gold block or pyramid piece at the very top, whereas all we get below is stone, like the original pyramids at Giza. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope this has been interesting and informative. If it hasn't, if you want to say something, shoot it down in the comment section below. Really appreciate it. If you like this video at all, hit that thumbs up down there. It really helps out the channel. And just try to imagine a world in which we had more of a fair shake. We were able to gain more of the benefit from our labors than we currently have. And imagine a world where, you know, we didn't see other people as different just because they're a different religion or political group or anything like that. Thank you very much for watching. Y'all have a great day.